Ruben Amorim makes his feelings clear. He wanted a striker in the January market. Now, why didn't Man United sign someone? They didn't get Tell because he had a 5 million loan clause. United said it's about saving money for the summer. Is it cost cutting? Are Man United working on the summer plan? There's links of Napoli going for Xerxes in the summer already, even though the transfer window closed yesterday. We've got updates on the Garnacho sale. It wasn't a decision by Amorim to sell Garnacho. The dressing room did not like the idea that Garnacho could be put up for sale. It would have caused outrage, but it was those at the top that were looking to sell Garnacho, but they know it would not have gone down well. Could Garnacho be forced out in the summer? Marcus Rashford will apparently never play again. It's more than training performances. He could be forced out in the summer as well. Luke Shaw back when Dorgu's back. Interesting. Malacia essentially gone. We're waiting for the here we go on that. And yes, some more updates on plans for summer, cost cutting, why we didn't spend, and I'm going to show you reports that keep contradicting themselves because I think it's quite funny. But let's dive into Laurie Whitwell. Laurie Whitwell's a very good source of information, and this is what he's had to say. The January plan was to shed players deemed at the odds with the culture Ruben Amorim wants to install. So shed players, Anthony just because he's not good enough, Rashford because I'm assuming not the culture that Aaron wants to install, add a left back and remain financially stable before the summer when a centre forward can be brought in. Some argue that United would have had greater budget flexibility without the cost of sacking Eric Ten Hag and hiring Amorim and sacking Dan Ashworth. Very likely true. So Laurie Whitwell, who's a very good and credible journalist, saying the plan was to be more prepared for the summer, and I think in elements it was. But I think sometimes just to spend a couple million on that striker to get you to the summer on loan when you're a Garnacho Ahmad injury away from being very shite up top, I think that there should have been at least an attacking addition on loan. You know, João Felix, we could have loaned a Kuka, we could have loaned Tell, we could have loaned without a buy option. I think we should have made more of a move for it. Now, what Laurie Whitwell is saying is the centre forward will be brought in the summer. That is the priority. I think it was Laurie Whitwell that said last week the priority is the centre forward. The only thing I can think of is this will give us more money in the summer, and I guess it's a long-term game. You know, I'm fed up of short-term 70 million Casemiro, 85 million Anthony. This is a long-term game, and we've got to rebuild long-term because short-term rebuilding does not work for us. The other thing is that maybe it gives us the money to spend money on a striker. Maybe we can trigger the 60 million Cunha release clause in the summer and bring in some real talented players. Now, we did get the left wing back. I think if we didn't get a left wing back, it would have been an absolute disgraceful window. I think now we've got a left wing back, it's good. But because Anthony and Rashford both went, I think we needed another option in attack. Ruben Amorim made his feelings clear to Wilcox that he wants a striker before the summer transfer window closes. And I think that while, you know, Ruben Amorim will say he's happy, and while it'll be brief that Amorim is happy, we know Amorim's not happy. We know Amorim wants more attacking reinforcement. Amorim did them a favour. He didn't want to leave mid-season, and INEOS said to him, you leave now, you're never getting the job. And he left now because he wanted that Manchester United job, but he wanted to come in the summer when he knew he'd be backed. And they lied to him. They didn't back him. They got Dorgu, but they've not really backed him. I guess you say Rashford out's backing him, but from what we know, I think Rashford being out is more of an INEOS decision than an Amorim decision. Anyway, this would have caused big issues. Now, it's quite clear, actually, with Ruben Amorim in his press conference and the way he spoke about Garnacho in his last week or two, he didn't want Garnacho to go. He had an issue with him before the derby, but he didn't want him to go. He believed there's a player there. But United sort of put Garnacho up for sale. Now, this is what we know about it. Manchester United staff are relieved the club did not sell Alejandro Garnacho in the winter transfer window. Dressing room sources dreaded the prospect of a sale and believed it would have caused uproar among supporters. A separate source also admitted it would have been impossible for the club to have framed the possible departure of Garnacho in a positive, and it's true. I think, look, there'll be question marks around Garnacho if he fits the system, if it's better to move him on in the summer, and that might be a decision. They might think 70 million for Garnacho in the summer. There's maybe he doesn't fit the system. Maybe we need someone more ready-made now. I don't like the idea of selling Garnacho, bringing in Tell, selling Garnacho, bringing in Dibbling, because you're selling one raw prospect for another raw prospect, at least back your own. But I get the idea of selling Garnacho for a Cunha or someone that that guy's ready-made. But it was said that, the United staff are relieved. Amorim didn't want Garnacho to go. Amorim wanted Garnacho to stay until summer, and Amorim will make a decision on Garnacho in summer when there's more options available to replace him and more time to make a decision. Had they sold Garnacho in January, it would have been unless you get like 100 million, you'd say fair, but it wouldn't have been a good look for INEOS. Now, again, I'm not 100% against Garnacho being sold if it was the right price and we could get the right replacement. But I've always said you've got to wait till summer to make a decision on Garnacho. January, there's no replacements available. We've got to wait till summer. Give Ruben Amorim more time to work with the guy. Just because he's out of form doesn't mean he's a flop. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. We need to get him into form, get him firing. There is an electric player there. There's just questions if he's a long-term fit for Amorim's system. Like, where does he fit? Now, talking of fits for Amorim's system, because none of the fullbacks do fit Amorim's system, what is the latest on left back? Luke Shaw's expected to be back in the matchday squad for the FA Cup game against Leicester, said United Forever 7. I don't think they're a very reliable source of information, so we'll take them with a pinch of salt. When he is back in training, I wouldn't rush Luke Shaw back. He is going to be our left centre-back. We need him to stay fit. Will he stay fit? Probably not. He's not going to be the left wing-back. That's going to be Dorgu. We need him to be the Leach replacement, so be really careful bringing him back, because I don't want to play 2 games and be out for the rest of the season. I'd rather him miss the next 2 games and then be able to play more games from now to the end of the season. PSV Eindhoven is set to finalise Tyrone Malassia's loan move from United today. He's already in Holland. Malassia, here we go, is expected today. I think that's a smart move, because even though we could use him at left centre back at this rate, he just needs to get the minutes in his legs to get his value up. With Malassia and with Anthony, I think it's about getting them out, getting the minutes and legs to get their value up. I think Rashford as well maybe is to just get the value up. What 40 million buy clause? If Rashford's in form and Villa getting for 40 million, though, if Rashford finds his form, I do think that's a bit low. So let's talk about Rashford. Aston Villa's emergence for Marcus Rashford caught several people by surprise, but Unai Emery considers him one of the world's elite attacking players. Emery is confident that he'll be able to bring Rashford back to his best. You look at Aubameyang, you look at Lacazette under Emery, they did really, really well. You know, that his style is a bit more defensive, running into space, playing off Watkins, Rashford running into space as well. He'll have to compete with Jacob Ramsey on that left-hand side, but Marcus Rashford's a person that got over 40 goal contributions in the season, which is more than Vinicius got last season, and he was crying about not getting the Ballon d'Or. You know, he's not a bad player, Rashford. He's not been good for 18 months. He needs to leave United for his sake, for our sake. The relationship is sour, but I think he could be really good at Villa. And interestingly, I want to show you something else we got on Rashford. This was said by Jamie Jackson. Marcus Rashford is extremely unlikely to play competitively for Manchester United again, even if Ruben Amorim is no longer head coach, with the relationship between the forward and the boyhood club irreparable. It's understood that there's no callback clause in the forward's loan terms with Villa. He should start to score prolifically. Jamie Jackson is basically saying, even if Rashford does really well at Villa and Amorim is sacked, there's no way back for him at Man United. The relationship with the club is irreparable. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's probably more going on to the Rashford situation than Amorim wanting him dropped for bad training performances. He's fallen out with the hierarchy. He's fallen out with INEOS. He's fallen out with the club. Everybody knows that, because the personal trainers are coming out saying that Rashford's doing extra training work and doing absolutely fine. So, there's something that's gone on with the Rashford situation. For his sake and our sake, he needs to leave the club. I've accepted that. But you know, that report from Jamie Jackson says to me that there's something going on with INEOS. I think Garnacho will be next out. I do think INEOS are thinking, we need money, get Rashford out, get Garnacho out. I think they're thinking PSR. I do. McTominay was one. They were, Ten Hag wanted to keep McTominay, and they drove McTominay out and brought Agarty in, which was probably the right decision. But they're very keen to get out the PSR players. Anyway, continuing on. This is one thing I will say, though. You don't know what journalists to believe, because Rob Dawson said this. United are hoping their conservative approach to the January transfer window will allow them to complete a major rebuild of the playing squad in the summer. So that's what Rob Dawson says. But then Jamie Jackson says that United are going to face another difficult transfer window in the summer due to limited finances, with the ability to considerably strengthen Ruben Amorim's squad, dependent on acquiring a profit from player sales. So one source is saying we're going to have money to spend in the summer because we did nothing in January. Another source is saying we're going to have to sell to do things in the summer. The way I take it is we've got money to do in the summer, but if we want to do all the work we need to do in the summer, we're going to need to sell players. We've probably got money for a couple signings in the summer, but look, if you get 70 million for Garnacho and 40 million for Rashford, and you get 110 million in pure profit, then Man United can go and sign Cunha, they could go and sign Gyökeres, they could go and sign Stiller or Edison or whoever they wanted in midfield. They could sign Kirkes, they could sign Kenda, they could sign, Hato or the white centre back for sure. But look, it's very mixed, hit and miss, and I think you have to wait until we're closer to the summer to get an understanding of summer plans. It was also said by the Manchester Evening News that United have prioritised summer spending amid their decision to not recruit a goal scorer in the winter window, with the new forward set to be targeted in the summer window. For me, I understand that. I think we should have brought someone in on loan to the end of the season, because I think we just need another body in attack. We've got 4 attacking options, but all the good options out there aren't going to be available to the summer. There's a release clause in Cunha. There's a lot of good options available in the summer. And if we're going to bring in a top striker, it's going to be in the summer. Maybe it's Gyökeres. I'm not sure. We're already working on a pre-agreement for Kenda. I don't know if we get two sporting players. It could be Gyökeres, or we want to move away from that because we did that with Ajax. I'm not 100% sure, but we need a striker, we need a left 10, we need a midfielder, we need a centre back, and we need another wing back, maybe two other wing backs because how important they are to Amorim's system. You know, Lindelof's going to leave, Evans is going to leave, Eriksen's going to leave. We're going to need a midfielder in there. It's going to be interesting the summer window. And talking of the summer window and outgoings, Napoli are watching Xerxes. I think Xerxes, Garnacho, and Rashford could go in the summer. To be honest, Eriksen will be gone. Casemiro should go. Lindelof will be gone. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Maybe Malacia goes. Maybe Shaw. Who knows? Mason Mount. You forget he even plays for the club. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.